October 1996. Still working at Frame Art as a picture framer, excuse me. Still don't remember anything specific, but it's October, Halloween, so I'm sure I watched some great scary movies and did some cool Halloween stuff. I must have, because it's my favorite time of year. But let's look at the books that I read, or talk about the books that I read in October of 1996. It wasn't a lot this time, but I started with The City on the Edge of Forever by Harlan Ellison. Now, this is actually the original teleplay from the Star Trek, the original series episode, City on the Edge of Forever. At one time, it was voted the best Star Trek episode. Don't know if that still holds true. I do know it is a very popular one, a very critically acclaimed one, but the episode that aired was not exactly as Harlan Ellison had written it. So this is his original teleplay, and it's got notes from him talking about it, and there's some little essays, little pieces from some of the actors and other people involved in making the episode. But it's quite a bit different. The major plot points are there for anyone who doesn't know. Bones McCoy, good old McCoy, is accidentally drugged, and he beams down to this planet, and they go chasing after him. They can't find him, and they're looking up in the sky, and the Enterprise disappears. I'm trying to keep the exact timeline of events here straight, but it turns out that this thing on the planet, this arch, is a gateway through time. Bones has gone back in time, changed history so that the Federation doesn't exist. But there's like a safety zone on the planet, so even though the Enterprise and everybody has disappeared, the people, Kirk and Spock, the people on the planet, are safe. They don't disappear. So Kirk and Spock have to go back in time, figure out what Bones did to change history, and keep him from doing that. It's a really, really good episode, but, and I don't want to spoil how it goes, but there are some big differences. Like, it's not Bones that changes history in the original teleplay. It's basically a red shirt, for lack of a better way to put it. But it's good stuff. If you're a fan of Harlan Ellison, if you're a fan of Star Trek, it's good stuff. Second book that I read in October 1996 was Iron Man Steel Terror by Dean Wesley Smith. This is one of the middle school novels that Marvel put out. And basically, Iron Man and the Avengers fight Ultron. It's fun, quick, easy read. Middle school level. Then we have Does Anybody Have a Problem with That? By Bill Maher, subtitled The Best of Politically Incorrect, which is essentially what it is. They took his just stuff that he said on Politically Incorrect, the show that he had before, Real Time with Bill Maher, and put it in a book. I used to think Bill Maher was very funny. I liked Politically Incorrect as a show, and I thought the stuff in this book was pretty funny. Then we have The Bear Went Over the Mountain by William Kotzwinkle. And this is a social satire. Basically, this black bear, just minding his own business, finds a briefcase in the woods. And hoping there's food inside, because that's what bears hope for, he opens it, he finds the manuscript for a novel, he sits down and reads it, decides that it's really good, and basically disguises himself. Well, he puts on clothes, and he picks a name, and he goes to New York and passes this novel off as his own, becomes a best-selling author, and and nobody notices he's a bear. They just think he's this eccentric genius because this book is amazing. It's pretty funny stuff. And William Kotzwinkle, off the top of my head, is the guy that wrote the novelization of E.T., perhaps wrote the sequel. There's actually a sequel novel to E.T., the movie, called The Green Planet or something like that. Maybe he wrote that one. Anyway, that's the guy, William Kotzwinkle. But the bear went over the mountain. Pretty funny stuff. Excuse me for just a moment. I'm like on that last edge of getting over the cold that I've had for over a week. But let's move on. There's only 2 more books for October 1996, and the penultimate is The X-Files Ruins by Kevin J. Anderson. And in this one, there's an American archaeologist down in South America exploring a lost Mayan city, and she and her team disappear. Mulder and Scully go to investigate. Of course, Mulder thinks there are curses and monsters and all that stuff. Scully thinks it's just something natural, and some sort of black ops government agency is also down there causing trouble. But it's X-Files. It's Kevin J. Anderson. He's a pretty good author. Yeah, I've been slowly rereading or reading all the X-Files stuff that I have. I should be getting to this one again pretty soon, relatively speaking, in my terms of reading something pretty soon. But if you like the X-Files, these novels are good. And then finally, I don't actually have the last book. I have something that contains the last book. This will be the 3rd time we've seen this. The last book I read in October of 1996 was Spider-Man: The Octopus Agenda by Diane Duane. It is part of, dropping my notebook there, part of Spider-Man: The Venom Factor Omnibus by Diane Duane. Has the 3 books that she wrote. Nice, fat, thick book. 3 books that she wrote in this trilogy. And in The Octopus Agenda, Peter Parker is investigating like cell phone fraud or something, and stumbles upon this sort of counterfeiting tech, basically this plot that's going to destroy America's infrastructure, and he ends up having to team up with Venom. And this is in the era when Venom just absolutely hated Spider-Man and wanted to eat his brain. But they have to team up when they discover Dr. Octopus is behind all this, and they got to try and take him down. And it's pretty good. Pretty good. Overall, the whole trilogy was pretty good, especially if you're a Spider-Man fan, as I am. It would be nice if I still had the original 3 books, but I don't. But I can always reread them in here. But that is the last thing that I read in October of 1996. As usual, did not think of a question ahead of time. So, are you a fan of social satire? Something like The Bear, whatever the hell it was called. The Bear went over the mountain? Came over the mountain? I've already forgotten what the title of it was. Let's take a look. The Bear Went Over the Mountain. Okay. Something like that. That obviously has a crazy premise. A bear reads a manuscript, puts on clothes, passes himself off as a person without, like, they don't disguise themselves as a person. They're a bear in human clothes. But they go from the publishing world of New York to California and the glitz and glamour, and everybody just kind of sees what they want to see. If I remember correctly, because this book is so amazing, So people are blinded by what it's going to do for them. Um, so are you a fan of that sort of thing? Does that tickle your fancy, as it were? I see American Psycho that way. I've not read the book. I've tried. I just can't get into the writing style, but I absolutely love the movie. I think it's hilarious, and to me, it's that's. And again, can't speak to the book. The movie is that whole social satire where, everybody in that era had the ridiculous competition, like with the white who has the whiter business card, the more white business card, but also the fact that these people were so interchangeable that even if, and I am one of the people who believes Patrick Bateman was a serial killer and was killing people, um, and the reason he is alibied, I think it's when Jared Leto is killed. When he kills Jared Leto, spoilers, I guess, for anyone who hasn't seen it. Um, Willem Dafoe is investigating, and he says, "Well, I know you didn't do it because, four people said you were at dinner with them at the time the murder was committed. But the whole point is these people are so interchangeable and so self-absorbed that they believe he was there because he's part of their group. So he must have been there, but they weren't actually paying enough attention." So again, it's that people not seeing what's in front of them or not seeing what's not in front of them. There's a hell of a sentence. Anyway, I like this kind of stuff. If I can handle the writing. I don't know, man. I know some people love Bret Easton Ellis. I just could not handle the writing style. What are your thoughts? Do you have any other books or movies that fall into this social satire category? I know there's tons, Mark Twain and um, even Pride and Prejudice lady. um, was that Emily Bronte? Charlotte Bronte? Excuse me, I've never read it, so I can't say. But anyway, I know there's tons of social satire. Do you like it? What's your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, leave those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. All that usual YouTube stuff. If you care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. I think I covered everything and did it correctly. That's all I've got for you this week. So until next week, read more books.